Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining Expertdoc 4.5 Smart Flow release webinar. We will get started in the next couple of minutes. So I think we'll get started. Again, welcome to the webinar. In this next 45 minutes, we'll cover the latest release of Xpertdoc Smart Flows 4.5. I ask that you keep your microphones on mute and please send any questions in the chat window and we can address them at the end. And I think we're ready to get started. So I will introduce our presenter, Yannick Method. He's been with Expertdoc since 2003, and he's our pre-sales engineer, senior implementation specialist, and release manager, and he'll be walking you through the high-level release notes on this webinar. So Yannick, it's all yours.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. So today's presentation will be about 4 new features we have in Smart Flows 4.5. It will not cover everything that we released in that feature. If you're interested of the release notes, it's available on our website. I selected 4, I think, of the most interesting new capabilities of the product. Okay, so here it is. So the first thing is the anonymous web form. So the ability to send requests to external users without having them to authenticate and then having them fill a form that we can use the data into a flow. Second one is a new step we have available that is called the create data that can be useful to pre-populate a form or pre-populate a data set with values coming from another data set. Third one is now the ability to map a one-to-many relationship to be used as email recipients. And the last one is the integration we have with Power Automate that can be both ways. So Smart Flows calling Power Automate and Power Automate calling Smart Flows. What I'll be demoing today is only the last one. So having Power Automate calling Smart Flows. Okay, so like Pamela said, we'll have time for question at the end. The demo part will take approximately 45 minutes if everything goes as planned. This is a live demo. I'll be creating a lot of stuff, so hopefully all my environments will be responsive enough. All right, and at the end, I will maybe spend a couple minutes if we have time to what is expected in the next major release for .6, right? So let me dive into the interesting stuff. Like you see, I'm now in Microsoft Dynamics 365. I'll be doing my demo mostly from that environment, knowing that most of all the features I'll be demoing are also available from other integration like SugarCRM and eventually Salesforce. Obviously, the Power Automate integration is only with Microsoft Dynamics. So first demo is the anonymous smart form. So let me go in Smart Flows, and I'll start by creating my data set. So I want my use case is, let's say we have a bunch of students in the university and we want to send them requests by email because we want them to fill a form because we want to produce a document, okay? That's the basis here. And I don't want those students to authenticate to the platform because there are so many students and we don't need to provide credentials for all of them. So that's the use case here. So I will start my process from Microsoft Dynamics, selecting a bunch of contacts and send requests. So since I will be starting from a contact record. I will create my data set from the contact here. So let's say demo1, and I'll select my account. I said contact, right? And I will leave all the defaults field there. I will just associate a sample because this is a recommendation. It's easier to design. So let's say Jack. All right. So created my data set. And because I want to also send that form to my user, then I need to have that form ready. So I already designed a form. So this is the form designer. So this is the look of my smart form. I don't know if all of you have seen the smart form designer before, but this is a tool we have to design a form that is more advanced at what you can do with a custom data set. Here you have full access on the layout. You can have dynamics elements, so fields that are visible based on conditions. And you can see a preview of the form directly here. So let's say I want to move the birth date. I can simply drag the birth date here and then see the result. Okay. I won't spend time much on the smart form designer, but just so you see that this form was previously designed. So now I'll go back in my smart flows environment and then configure a data set to use that smart form. So I'll create here my let's say application form, and this one is a smart form type data set, and I can just browse for where that smart form is located. There we go. And even if you use a smart form in SmartFlow, you can still provide a sample. It will show you the smart form here in kind of a mobile way because of the size we have, and you can pre-fill some information just so you have a sample to design your template eventually. I think that's all I needed here. All right, so both data sets are now created. So next step is to create the template to use those data sets. So let me go here and create real quick my template and select both data sets, right? And real quick, I will simply map a couple fields in my template so we have at least something to generate. Right, let's wait a couple seconds for my template builder to properly load. Like I said, I'll only map 1 or 2 fields. So we have something, there we go. All right, so this is my, oops, sorry, application form for XP University. And let's say I will map one field from my contact record, so data coming from Dynamics. Let's say I will map full name of my student. And here, just so we can see a field coming from the smart form, let's say the birth date. All right, no formatting, it will be raw data coming in. All right, publish this. All right, just close the template. And we're back in SmartFlow. So template is done. And now we'll simply create the flow. Directly from here, we'll leave it by default. And we have the simple flow created. Okay. So this is, like I said, a simple flow with the 2 steps at the beginning. So first step to retrieve data from the smart form, but this will have to be removed because what we want is leverage the anonymous form. And then we have the retrieve data from CRM for my contact information. Like I said, I will simply remove this block. I don't need that. And I will replace it with the get user input from anonymous smart form. So this one on the right side requires to specify the data set that will hold the values. So this is my application form. And we can also specify the redirect URL. So let's say the student will receive the request by email, click a link, fill the form, submit, and at the end, they can be redirected to a URL that you specify here. For instance, let's say you could forward them to the university website or any other website that you want. It could be a welcome page or a thank you page. I'll leave it by default, and you'll see what is the default page that we will redirect them. Right? Now that I've changed or removed one block that was already there, I need to remap the data because my template is expecting both data sets. So here I need to remap my my data, and you'll notice here that I need to use the data coming from my smart form, which is an anonymous smart form in this case. And you'll notice that we have a specific icon here, which is like kind of a clock or a watch that specifies that this is how the output is delayed because we need the student to fill the form. So the generate document step will wait until the form is filled by someone, okay? And the flow will wait here until the data is ready. Now, last thing I need is to notify my student that he needs to fill the form. So I will send an email to that student, and I will do that exactly after this. Click a block, and I'm looking for my email. It's not there, okay? Because I'm in a simple simple flow, I'm not allowed in a simple flow to have those type of step in the collect data part, but this is really what I want to do. So I will switch to an advanced flow by upgrading this one. Now I should be able to add my email step to send my requests. Maybe I'll do a search. There we go. So this is to notify my student, and I'll leave it mostly by default. Maybe this is coming from the university, right? And I'm sending that to the student. So I will use the linked field to dynamically set the email address of my student, and the information is in my dynamic system. So I'll use the demo one data set and select the email address of my student, right? Good. And let's say is the Xpeak University application form. And I want here to, well, set the body of the email. So I, and maybe the name of my student. It's also in my system. Let's say first name. And please fill the form. Okay, and then here I will just add the link. So the link is a value available from the get user input from anonymous form step that I see here. So this is a field that is available that will be, oops, okay, I don't spend time on the layout here, but I'll have the link to that form. This. And at the end, because I want to see the output of my generation, I can simply maybe save the resulting document to the note. So attach it to the record in my dynamic system and attach the document. And I have that in the output so I can click on it directly. All right. Hopefully it was not too fast. I think everything is set up properly, so we can try it right away. Let me go in my dynamic system and I'll select a contact and try to trigger this flow. All right. Select Jack Bauer, and there we go. Like my demo one flow. Excellent. We see that this flow is waiting for something external. In this case, the student to fill the form. Just click, close those previous execution. And now if I go in my emails, I should, yeah, I just received, well, I know it's not formatted and I think the link is messed up because it was in the middle of my, oh, sorry about that. So usually I can click on it, but now just copy the link. All right. So this is the form that the student will receive as a link, and then will be asked to fill. So I'll go quick and just enter some information here. I think that's all I needed. at least, well, I will fill the birth date because this is something I'm displaying in my template. All right, so then click submit. And this is the redirect URL I was referring to earlier. So this is the default page, just a thank you page. So what you can configure the flow to have your own page here to be shown. All right. So if I go back in my system here, I see that the flow was successfully executed, and I have a link to the node in my CRM system. Just want to double check that the form is okay. Come on, right? This is a PDF. And I should see the, yeah, this is the date, like I said, not formatted for my my student. Okay, so this is the anonymous form. If I go back to the flow here, so we use this step. So this is new in 4.5, and I think it's really useful when you want to send requests to external users without having them to authenticate. I think it opens the door for many opportunities, I think, in your business. Okay. If you have questions, leave it for the end, and I can answer all your question. So that was the first part. Second part is the create data step. Okay. So for the create data step, what I'll do is I will reuse the same template because I don't want to redesign, but I'll create a new flow. Yeah, flow, and I'll call it demo 2 with leave it by default. Okay. So remember that in the first part, I removed the retrieved data and then replaced that with the anonymous form. Now I will keep this one, but I want the smart form that will be prompted to the user to be pre-filled with information coming from my system. Okay. So I will use the create data block is here. So a create data is useful when you, like I said, you want to pre-populate or you want to fill another data set with information coming from another data set. So there's a lot of possibilities when you use the create data. So the only thing you need to, well, two things. First thing you need to define on that step is the structure of the data. So in my case, I want to use the application form, which is my smart form in this case. So this is the structure I'll use to store my data. And then I can map my data. Remember, I want to take information from my dynamic system and pre-fill my smart form. So the fields we see here on the left are coming from my smart form. So all the fields that are already defined. Let's say I want to pre-fill the first name. Simply select this field. And then on the right side, I select from what other data set do I want to pull the information from. So I want to pull that from my CRM system. This is my demo 1 data set. And I will select, in this case, the first name of my contact record. All right, let's say I will do the same thing for last name. Same concept. And last name. Okay, so I could go ahead and map all those fields. I'll only map 2 for this demo, but really easy to map the values. All right. Now the order is not okay because I really need to do my create data before actually showing the smart form to the user. So I will simply drag that here. All right. And now, so yes, I created my my temporary data in memory using the create data, but I want to use that data now in my smart form. So if I go in my retrieve data from Expertdoc smart form, we now have available the initial values parameter here, and I will select my create data. Okay. So now this step here for the smart form will be initialized with data coming from the data I just mapped before. All right, and maybe I want to create a node as well. This one, right, and attach the record, the document. All right. So I'll go back in my dynamic system and then try that if it works. Let's select another one. Let's say Patrick. Now I'll select demo 2. So this one is not in the anonymous form, so there's no email sent out. It's really the user that will have the smart form to be prompted here, and you see that it's now pre-populated with the information of my system. Okay. So again, that can be useful when you now have the option to change the values to fix if it's not the right data. And we could also use, let's say you change the data here, then you would want to maybe save back that modification in your system. So this is something that you could use the integration we have with Power Automate to do this. Okay, so we're not able directly from SmartFlows to save data back in Dynamics, but this is really easy to do that with the integration with Power Automate. Okay, so this is end of the second part of the demo, which was the create data step, now available in SmartFlows 4.5. All right. Part number 3 was is the mapping of a one-to-many field. So let me go back here and the data set. So for this one, I will create a new data set. The idea here is, let's say I want to send a communication to all the contacts of an account in my dynamic system. So if I go in my dynamic system and I look at, let's say, this account has a relation to the contact entity and could have one or many contacts. Well, this one has 2. See here at the bottom right, 2 contacts are related to that account. Okay? So I want to send an email to all those contacts and attach the document to that email. So in SmartFlows, let me create that account demo 3. And in this one, I will keep all the fields from the account. That doesn't matter, but I also need access to the email of all the contacts. So I'll go in the one-to-many relations, and I will simply search for the contact. This is what I want. And from the contact record, I need, well, I don't need everything. Let's say I keep, I need at least the email because I want to send them the document, and let's say the full name as well. Right? And always recommended to associate a sample to facilitate the design. Go. All right. And then I'll create the template. 3. Like this only data set. I only need one in this case. Create. Just make sure I don't have anyone open already. All right. And let's design. Again, I won't spend a lot of time designing my template. It's just to map a couple fields. Come on. All right. Let's go. Oh, all right. This is the demo god. Why my word is not responding. One more chance. Otherwise, I can continue without mapping any fields. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's continue then. So template will be empty. All right, so I will create a flow from it. All right, and I want to send the document by email. Now I can keep a simple workflow because the email block is in the store and deliver. So let me select the email. This one can be a Dynamics email. All right. So this is where the magic will happen, basically. So I will use here a dynamic field or a linked field and select from my data It's in my one-to-many relationship, my email. So this is where it's interesting. So you see that next to my email, there's that like one-to-many relationship icon. So this notifies me or informs me that this field is coming from a one-to-many relationship. So it can include multiple recipients for this email. Okay, so it's not only one. Well, can be one if there's only one contact, but can be multiple as well. So I'll save that. Right, just make sure I have the output to the email, and then I'll go in my account, and let's say this is the account I want to use, so we'll just trigger the flow, demo 3. All right, and if I open that email record in Dynamics, just to show you that all the recipients should be there. All right, so we see the two emails here in my in the email record. Right. Now, one more thing I want to show you that we can do with the one-to-many relationship mapping. So go back. I don't need this anymore. Don't need that. Need that either. All right. So go back on this block here, and I will toggle the user editable toggle here, and launch the same flow, so you can see what's the difference and what we can do with it. Demo 3. So now, because that was toggled, the user will be prompted with the field. In this case, there are multiple items, multiple recipients, or multiple contacts in my account. So that's why I have the ability to see those items. I can remove one if I want, and I can add another one also. So I type my email address here, and I click next. Okay, so really, really useful to see the list and edit the list and add items or remove items from that list. And now I should see my email there as well. Come on. All right, so I see my email. All right. If the account add a contact without email address, the flow will still be processed. It will not fail. It's only that we will skip or ignore that contact. So if in the account you had like 100 contacts and some of them doesn't have email addresses, it doesn't matter. It will add the recipient only if they have an email address. Okay, so this is a decision we made to make sure that the flow can go through. Okay, so this is the end of part 3. Let me see if my word is now, yeah, so it's back online. Okay, let me close this then, because I'll need it later. Okay, last part is the Power Automate integration. Like I said at the beginning of the webinar, the part I'll be demoing today is from Power Automate calling smart flows. Okay, so let's say that you want to generate documents, but the process is triggered from Power Automate. For those of you that knows Power Automate, there are different ways to trigger a flow. It can be automated, can be a blank process, can be the flow button. Well, there are different ways here. So for me, it will be from the account. So let me go back in Smart Flows here, and then I'll just create a fresh data set for the account. Same thing, I don't need to spend too much time. I'll leave it by default. And yeah, I like to create samples. All right, this one. All right, and we'll create a template, and hopefully this time I'll have more luck with my demo 4, 8. I'll give it a try. So our while that loads, our connector to Power Automate has been certified. you'll see that some of the actions available are still labeled as preview. This is because we need to get to a certain amount of requests per month, I think, to have that preview removed, but it's still a production product ready to be used on your site. All right, so let me map a couple of fields here, account name, let's say account address. That's all I needed. Publish. All right, close. Okay, so then my data set, my template, let me create a flow. Just to keep that simple, and just again, attach the resulting document to the notes. Or I'm going fast, but just because it's the same thing over again. All right, so from a Smart Flows perspective, my flow is created, and now I'll be able to call that flow from Power Automate. So talking about Power Automate, let me just open that up. Power Automate. So this is a fresh environment. There's nothing created in that environment. I think I've only configured the CDS connector, so to access the common data service data. But I'll start from scratch to create the flow. So for this demo today, I will use an automated flow. So my trigger will be when a record is updated in my dynamic system, so in my CDS. But like I said earlier, we support all different types of flow here. Call Smart Flows from Power Automate. Like I said, my trigger will be when a record is updated. I'll use this one. I did some tests with these, well, not the standard step, but the step that is really for Dynamics 365, and I know in the future it will be eventually removed. That's why Microsoft strongly recommend to use the common data service step, even if the other one is working. But I saw that using the other one, sometimes there are delays that I did not notice with this step. So strongly recommend to use this one. All right, so this is standard. This is not Xpertdoc related yet. So I'll just select the environment. It's my current environment, and I want to be notified when the account entity was updated, so accounts, and for any member of my organization. And now this is where Xpertdoc will be involved. Okay. Like I said, we have now a connector available in Power Automate, so you don't have to install the connector. The month ago, we had the connector to install, but now it's certified, so it's available for everyone. But like I said, we still have the preview labeled here. Okay. So what I want to do is start a flow. So I'll select the execute dynamics flow here. These are the 3 actions we have available. I'll use the 2 other later in the demo. So if it's the first time that you use any of the actions we have in our connector, you'll be prompted with this form or step here that will ask you to create the connection right away. So I need to create the connection to my Smart Flows environment. Let me grab my URL real quick. And my API key. For those of you that are not familiar with API keys, yes, we do have documentation on our website about this, but what you need to know today is that each user in Smart Flows can have its own API key, or you can use Power Automate and use, let's say, the API key of an administrator. So it's up to you. All right. So if it's your second flow that you create and that you already created your connector, so this is what you'll see if you add the step, the execute dynamics flow step. Okay. Remember that we have an account. Here I need to provide the unique identifier of a record. Remember that my flow, if I go back in my flow, so my flow is expecting an account here because, well, yeah, an account. And if I go back here, this is what I have available. So I'll use dynamic content to simply map the account. It's that simple. And for the flow, well, I'll select the flow with DDMO4 in this case. And the last parameter here is I can specify under which user I want to run that smart flow. Well, in smart flows, by default, it will use the user that is configured in the connector to Dynamics in my smart flow environment. Okay, so this is what I'll use here. I'll simply save this, and now it's ready to be tested out. So just go back here, and then if I go in my Dynamics environment, let's say I update this one, update demo for webinar. All right, save. And hopefully everything will be fast enough in the back to notify my Power Automate. So if I go here, just refresh. Thing. I said earlier, sometimes it takes a couple minutes or a couple seconds. There we go. So it's running now. Let's refresh again. All right, succeeded. A couple ways I can validate that everything went well. What I like to do is directly in Smart Flows, I can go in the reporting section, and I see here exactly the one I just ran. So with the update, so I could go there and then download the document. I don't think in my flow I did anything with the document. Sorry, if I go back in my flow. Oh yeah, I created a note. So if I go in my record here, is it the one? No, I need to refresh. So I should see a note in my timeline with the new file. Come on. There it is. What you've missed, one note. There it is. So 10:34 Eastern time. So this is the document that was generated. Just want to double check that it should contain, yeah. So this is really what that was modified. So everything went well. All right. Now there's more we can do in our flow. So I'll show you right now. Remember that in our connectors, we have 3 actions available. So the first one I already used is the execute Dynamics flow. There are 2 other actions that are kind of working together. So I'll add another step here. Search for Xpertdoc. And these are the 2 others. So I want to do something with my documents. Okay, I don't want to rely on smart flows because I want to store those files in OneDrive. Okay, let's say it's the premise here. So I'll use the get documents. The only thing I need to provide with that action is the execution. So execution, save. Okay, that's it. But now I still don't have, so that's why we have the other step, well, the other action available. Now it's the download document. So I really want those documents, the content. Okay, so where is the document? So this is that dynamic content here. And now Power Automate is smart enough to look at our action, how it's defined, and they see that the get documents can retrieve more than 1 document. Okay, so that's why my step was switched to and applied to each, and now I can apply an action to every document that were retrieved. In my scenario now, I'm only generating 1 document, but we all know, now you know that a smart flow can execute and have more than 1 document involved. Okay, I could have multiple templates involved, or I could use the retrieve or the fetch document step to fetch another document and have that available in my flow. So I could apply an action to all those documents. So it doesn't matter to me. Here, I want to save that or those documents to OneDrive. create a file. So now again, this is not Xpertdoc related, but still need to configure. I created a folder called client communications in my OneDrive just so I keep those files alone there. And I need to specify the name of my file. Then I'll use the document name that was available in one of my Xpertdoc steps, and the content as well that is retrieved from SmartFlows. This is the document content here. Okay, see that there's nothing to code. Really easy to configure. It's just dynamic elements that you map here. Really simple. All that is configured. My flow is saved. So let me go back here. I'll do another test. Let's go and select another record, sorry. Okay, I feel maybe I don't drink coffee, but let's select this one. And let's do simple update here. Oops, last part of this wonderful webinar, right? Save. Right, and hopefully this one will kick in a little bit faster. No luck. Oh, all right, it's running. This one should take a little bit more than 4 seconds because it involves OneDrive and also pulling the documents out of SmartFlows. But it's usually, yeah, see, so 11 seconds. That's the average time. So now I can have a look at my OneDrive and see if we have something. OneDrive. Go. Said it's in my client communications folder. And this is my document that was just uploaded. Just to double check. Yes, this is my the record that was just updated with what I have mapped in my template. Okay. So let's go back in my flow. Okay. So Power Automate is, well, can be really powerful, and it's really easy to include smart flows in it with our integration. So now it's your turn to impress us. I say that because usually we're impressed on how our customers are using our product. So if you find that what you did is really cool, just send out an email. We can showcase what you did and learn from it, document it on our website. You're more than welcome to send us. Or if you have any comments about what we did, this is, like I said, our first iteration, our first version of that integration. We are already planning of adding additional features in our Power Automate integration. All right. The last slide I had in my deck was what to expect in SmartFlows for us. Let's go like this. So we will have an integration with Salesforce. So everything that I've demoed today except the Power Automate will be available in Salesforce as well. So the integration with Salesforce will be really similar to what we can do today with SugarCRM and Dynamics 365. Same type of connector that you will be able to create. And from Salesforce, you'll have the ability to launch smart flows from any entity. Okay. We will also add in 4.6 the support for print node. This is to replace the Google Print, because Google Print is expected end of life at the end of 2020. So that's why we already started working on a replacement. So print node is what we selected. Basically, how it will work is that we will not handle all the accountings or all that stuff. It's only a connector that will provide. You'll have to manage your own account of print node. But this is the solution we think is the more flexible, and I think this is really their main core business. So that's why we think they will support that in the future versus Google that really likes adding functionalities and then remove stuff. And we'll have more features as well in bug fixes probably. And I just, well, one of my colleagues sent me a note, just so you know that Salesforce is also supported in Power Automate, so they have their own connectors. So you could probably also use Smart Flows with Salesforce and Power Automate to orchestrate all of that. So that's I think a good thing if you use Smart Salesforce or plan to use Salesforce in the future. Okay. So this is what I had to show you today. Like I said at the beginning, our release notes are available on our website, divided in the different release version. So what I showed you today was, most of it was available in 4.50. In 4.53 that was released a couple days ago, I think, for our cloud environment. The ability to map a one-to-many was available in the 4.53. So I don't know if you are already updated, but this was in that release. All right, Pam, anything to add?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Everybody, you will all get a link to the knowledge base where you can find the release notes on this. And then I guess right now what we can do is open it to some questions. So please put your questions in the question window. So we do have one, Nick. Do you need a specific license for smart forms?
That's a good question. I'm just thinking because it's not available in all the, well, smart flows. You have different tiers. So we have the standard, ultimate, enterprise, and I think I'm missing one. So I think smart flows is available starting at the ultimate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So it's available in premium and ultimate. There is a charge. So it's included in the enterprise version. In the standard version, it's not available. For premium and ultimate, there is a charge of $9 a user in premium and $12 per user in ultimate for smart forms.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions?
Maybe the similar thing regarding the Power Automate. So at this point, the Power Automate connector is free. There's no additional fees for it. And Pamela, do you know if it's available in all tiers?
Power Automate?
Yeah.
I can check.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
All right. And for those of you that, if you have additional questions regarding smart forms, what you can do, you can just send us an email. I will be more than happy to do a more in-depth, like specific demo for you guys regarding the smart form. That is really, really powerful. It can be really, really dynamic, and this is something we encourage you to try as well.
So I think that's it for today. Everybody will receive a copy of the release note link and then a copy of the recorded version. It will also be placed on our website in case you need to go back to it for reference. And thank you all for taking some time out of your day to join us. And we will speak to you shortly. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.